Hello, I'm Adam J. Morgan and welcome to Late Night Ghost Stories. Last week we spoke to Lucas, who was telling us about the strange activity going on in his home. His mum Emma also experienced a lot of stuff, which Lucas has already shared with us, but I thought it'd be good to bring Emma in today so we can get her version of events, because Lucas might have missed something out and there might be more detail that we can here today. So Emma's with us now. Thank you, Emma, for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
I guess the best thing is to start right from the beginning. How did this all start for you?
So I'd say it started around 9 months to a year ago, when I physically felt someone touch my shoulder.
What were you doing at the time?
So I was in the kitchen preparing dinner at the time.
Anyone else in the house with you?
No, just me.
And so what did it feel like? Physical touching of the shoulder?
Yeah, it felt very real.
So the natural reaction to that would be to turn around.
Yeah.
And you turned around and what?
And there was nothing there.
Wow. How did that make you feel?
Very nervous, anxious.
And very scared, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And Lucas was describing some other occasions where you saw shapes or shadows in the hallway or something.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm sat in the living room on an evening and the living room door is open, the hallway and the stairs, if I look out there, I'm normally seeing shadows coming from the stairs to the hallway or the hallway to the stairs.
Is there anything about the history of the house you know? I know it's new build, so any history of the area?
It used to be an old airfield, and we've got a green outside of our house where I know they used to store the munitions for the war underneath.
Wow, that is interesting. So, would that run along near your house? How do you know this information?
It's just information that we've gathered from local community.
I think that's something I could look into, because that is very interesting. When we have haunted locations, I was saying to Lucas before, you tend to get renovations trigger paranormal activity. Whoever it is from the afterlife don't like the changes, or they can't see that they've moved on into the afterlife. There's a lot of theories on that we don't fully understand, but one of them is hotels being renovated. A lot of the guests will report seeing a lot more activity than normal. The staff that work in the places, or even people's homes, any kind of old Victorian house. Now, what's strange about your property is, like you mentioned, it's very, very new, and when I've looked at it, the sort of background on the area myself, it was just like a field. But you are right, we are near the airfield, and I didn't know that additional information you've just given me about the munitions being stored in the area.
Yeah, also is of note is that it used to be a village, and that was torn down to make way for the airfield. And also I know that I've read in a paper after I just moved in here, actually, that there was an article on someone taking an aerial photograph and seeing a figure that looked like a ghost.
Wow. Is there some way I can have a look at that picture?
Yeah, that'd be in the archives, so you can Google that and pull that up.
Brilliant. Can you tell me, Lucas mentioned that John, your husband, might have witnessed some strange stuff as well?
Yeah, he has witnessed some strange goings on. I'm not sure specifically what. Only one that I know as fact is that when we left the house, we went out. No one was home, but when we've come back in the front door, there's been stuff in the hallway that was upstairs before we left.
Right, Lucas definitely mentioned this. You took the dogs out for a walk, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
And you come back and there was stuff all over the place.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. With no one in the house.
He mentioned a item from his bedroom drawer that he said was like a scarf or something, or
yeah, that's correct, yeah, scarf.
And where was that? So it was in his room, but where did you find it?
We found it kind of between the living room and the hallway.
Is there anything you can think of that would explain how this happened?
No, no, can't think of a thing. But there's been a couple of things like that, like a teacup that just fell over on the saucer. No one was by it, and it was perfectly stable at the time.
Yeah, that would take a lot for it. So it actually tipped over onto the saucer. And where was the saucer?
On a table, on a flat surface.
I'm thinking this might be what Lucas mentioned about. I think he thought it was a glass or something that levitated up and fell on the floor, or fell off the table. Is that the same occurrence?
I think it probably is. Yeah. So it was just sat in the saucer, and then it just fell over onto the side.
It's almost impossible to happen unless someone's knocked it and no one was near.
No one was sat near it. No dogs were near it. No dogs were in the room.
That's really, really strange, actually.
Yeah.
That's moving on from just witnessing stuff to actually poltergeist activity, physically moving. Most people will get electrics and lights. Have you had any issues with the lights going on and off, or anything that out of the ordinary that you could mention?
We did have some candles, some battery operated candles that flash on and off even though they're switched off. And it's going to sound funny, but we do have have to replace a lot of light bulbs all the time.
Right.
Because they just completely, even though we've not had them long, they just blow.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I've never not believed and I've been kind of sat on the fence.
What do you think's happening in your home?
I don't know. I do remember calling you and mentioning it and asking you to bring your meter round.
That's
and
it.
I did get some activity on that in the downstairs toilet, which is next to the hallway and the stairs.
What kind? When you say activity, so that it was peaking, the lights were going off?
Yeah.
Did that happen as a response to questioning, or did it just peak at any particular point?
No, that was on questioning.
And what did you ask for that to happen?
Just if there was anything there, if anything could hear me.
How did that make you feel when that happened?
A bit nervous.
So from what I can tell, you're not having stuff happen at night. There's no particular time when it's happening. You're having stuff happen in the day. So going back to the cup tipping over, was that at night? Was that in the day?
That was late afternoon, I'd say.
So, yeah. So, for example, if the place was haunted, you're getting activity all day and at night. Do you have anything happen in the night? Does any noises or anything wake you up?
No, not in the middle of the night. Is always, I'd say 80% of the time, in the evening. Sort of around, I'd say anywhere from sort of 5 to 9, 10 at night.
And Lucas mentioned as well, you haven't had anything happen recently, or has stuff happened?
No, I haven't had anything recently, no.
Is there any reason why that happened? I mean, Lucas kind of thought it was because I come along with the EMF meter, and he said after that was the end of it, but I don't think that would sort of be a reason for it to stop. So can you think of any particular reason why all this activity has stopped?
No, and I do think this all started around the anniversary of a death. Not far off from that. So I'm not really sure why we're getting nothing at the moment.
But you were here for how many years do you reckon you were here before you had activity happen?
Good 6 years.
I've asked Lucas to actually ask the neighbours before we bring Lucas in. Has any of your neighbours mentioned anything?
No, well, I haven't specifically asked anyone, but in conversation, no one's mentioned anything like that. Although I'm thinking back to it, I did have a neighbour who said that she's got one specific room in the house, because we are terrace houses, that is cold.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure of any other things.
That's really interesting, because my brain would be telling me why, out of all the houses that have been built in the area, would it be just your house? And the reason I asked Lucas to check with the neighbours was for that very reason. If maybe the planners and the developers had cut through, I don't know, some unconsecrated ground, disturbed something unnatural, or such like, you would expect it to be happening to all the neighbours.
Yeah.
But again, there was nothing on the plans that I could see that this was anything more than a field. But we need to.
But then, but don't forget, we did have across the road the village that was knocked down to make way.
Yeah.
For the airfield. And I know a house actually still remains on the airfield.
That would be interesting to investigate. So, people listening, if you've ever had renovations going on in your property and experienced hauntings because of it, can you please comment? Can you let us know? Maybe you can come on the show and discuss it with us. We're always interested in having more people talk about their experiences. Welcome back, Lucas. So I've been speaking to your mum about some of the experiences she's been having in the house. I know we talked in great detail last week. If you remember, I set you a little task to talk to your neighbours about the potential that they could have been experiencing some activity themselves. Did you manage to speak to anyone?
I did manage to speak to one of the neighbours, but as soon as I told him, he was adamant that there was no ghost, and he said that he was psychic, and if he would have known there was ghosts, he would have told us.
Right, so did you knock on his door, or did you happen to see him?
I was walking the dogs, and I was on my way back, and he just got back from walking his dogs as well.
So how did you ask the question? What did you ask him exactly?
Well, I just said that we've been seeing strange things inside our house lately, and that if he's seen anything, if he'd like to tell me.
And he was adamant. He said, I haven't seen anything, and I'm psychic, so I would know about it.
Yeah.
Wow. We were just sort of discussing the history. Did you know about the history of this area that used to store munitions here? Was it, when you say that, was it like a factory or something nearby?
No, it's kind of an underground shelter.
Is that out on the green?
That's
There's an information board, or there was at some point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's on that, but I just heard that from the local community. But they've actually boarded it over now and grassed over the top of it.
Ah, right. So it was an underground store. Okay.
Yeah, so it was underneath the green. Yeah.
So obviously that extends from the airfield. Well, I'm not sure if we can discuss anything else. You've had no more experience then, Lucas, since?
I forgot to mention one thing.
Oh, in that case, go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot to mention last time we were talking that when the day that we came back inside and the scarf was on the floor and the toys were scattered about, I forgot to mention that when I went up to check if anything else had been moved, that I did feel like a presence, like surrounding me. It felt like I was being like watched, and like almost as though someone was right there, but there wasn't anyone there.
Have you ever felt like you've been touched or prodded or anything like that?
I never felt it, no, but I was very adamant there was something behind me.
Because when I was talking to your mum a minute ago, she did mention with the EMF meter she did get a response from it. I don't think you knew that, did you?
No, I wasn't.
Do you want to tell Lucas what you experienced when you had the EMF meter?
Yeah, I was just asking questions and I did get a response. the lights and a peak of activity on the meter.
And the question you asked was, is there anyone here?
Yeah.
Do you want to show yourselves, or something similar to that?
Yeah.
So maybe we can bring the EMF meter back, and then we'll have a little chat, and maybe in a few episodes time, which will be in a few weeks time, you can tell me what results you got. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah.
Right, well, don't worry about whatever's in the house. I'm sure you'll be fine tonight. Again, we want to ask any listeners if they've got anything going on in their home they want to share with us, or if they've stayed in a property around a friend's or in a hotel. So thank you very much, Lucas and Emma, for coming along. Sleep tight tonight, don't get spooked out.